Now tell me, you vote in Security Council against some of those countries with whom you had some 40 years or 50 years relationship. Why? Because somebody sitting at the top of the economic table has to be pleased by you. You want most modern technology from them. Otherwise, your economic growth will not get accelerated, will get blunted. And therefore, please mark, and similarly, what China is doing, despite of being a communist country, right, they are creating more miseries on human being, on labor, because overtime has to be done. Less payment has to be made so that the cost of production goes down. And if cost of production goes down, they are able to sell their product at a cheaper rate in the world market, earn more foreign exchange, have better economic growth. And therefore, please mark, the point which is so crucial to be understood by us is that politics today is structured around economics. You are talking of so much globalization. Globalization of what? All right, internet globalization, blah, 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 all those things might have happened. But ultimately, globalization is globalization of markets. That's all. That's all. It's market. And therefore, please understand, entire politics is economics. And what is economics? Economics largely depends on science and technology. Because if you don't have modern science, you don't have modern technology, what is that which will enhance your economic growth? Why are you looking for investment? Why are you looking for creating new infrastructure? Why are you looking PPP mode? Why? Because you want to have more production, greater manufacture, more refined agriculture. And why to do that? To have more production, to have more profit, to sell more. And if that doesn't happen, what happens? And therefore, I strongly believe that politics is connected to economics. Economics has soul, if not complete, behind it, which is science and technology. And also remember, if politics cannot be left only to politicians, do you all agree or not? Though it is not happening, right? But you and I are all convinced. Even some young man who spoke to CII, what did he say? That politics is crucial, but who to join politics? How to make politics open? And therefore, please mark, what did Anna Hazare say? Politics is bad. Are you getting me? I'm not subscribing to one view or I'm not subscribing to another view. But I'm talking of fact because I'm talking to scientists. And scientists means what? Positivism. To be fact, to be testable, to make a statement which cannot be easily challenged. And I'm saying it is a fact. And what is a fact? That entire politics cannot be left to the politicians. Because if you leave entire politics to the politicians, then God knows who comes to save you. And therefore, please understand, as politics cannot be left only to politicians, right? Do you think Marx was a politician or Marx was a thinker? Do you think Gandhi was a politician or a thinker? And please mark, history will tell that both of them were thinker, both of them were philosopher. Please understand, it is that philosophy and it is that thought which influenced the entire politics of 20th century, 19th century, and of coming 21st century. And therefore, I strongly believe, and what I strongly believe is that politics cannot be left to politicians alone. Similarly, science cannot be left to scientists alone, and technology cannot be left to technologists alone. And that is where that scholar's book become very important to me, that science need to integrate with philosophy, history, sociology, culture, economics, and vice versa, that economics need to understand what compulsion of science are. And therefore, it is very crucial that for a scientist, he should retain or she should retain the core, the nucleus of the subject, the kind of research that scholar or research is undertaking. But should that research be completely immune from social realities, social aspirations, social requirements, or should that be complete devoid of three great things which the Honorable Vice Chancellor said: love, kindness, and social integration. And therefore, I strongly believe that this isolated approach, this myth that science is for the sake of science, needs to be demolished. And if you don't demolish it, then there is a huge problem. Professor Valukar, you can give me the hint when I have to shut up my mouth, because what happens is, or in a thought process, and I never write my speech, I never create my order, I all the time see others and I put my views accordingly, right? And many times I create disorder for myself, and most of the time I create disorder for others, okay? So bear with me and let me know when should I stop creating disorder anymore. But that's where, a real problem has occurred and real problem has come. And what problem has come is that if you do not master this skill of integrating your understanding of science or the value of your research or the kind of research you are going to do to the philosophy, history, sociology, economics, and culture, you are going to be misfit. Not that I'm doubting your integrity, not that I'm doubting your innovative approach, not that I'm saying that your innovation is futile, but please mark, you scientists, stop living in isolation. I need to stop living in isolation. And why? Because science is not simply creating scientific knowledge, or science is not simply coming out with an innovation. Science is not simply producing the science which will be converted into technology. There is a universe of science. And what is the universe of science? Who can tell you best than what has happened last week? Or what happened to poor Albert Einstein? Just now we said he was one of the greatest scientists. And his equation, Professor Kothari, if I am wrong, please correct me. Okay. I tried to verify from him in the morning. Okay. His equation, E is equal to mc minus squared. mc squared, am I right? His equation, E equal to mc squared, is perhaps one of the best principle of science which anybody has produced. It is this equation which gave him the title of one of the best scientists. But see, unfortunately, what happened? What happened? This equation was used, and used for what? For converting mass, or for using mass for enormous energy generation by nuclear fission. Now, that's what I'm trying to say, that he gave one of the best science. He gave you one of the most important piece of research. He gave you an equation which is going to govern us for posterities. But unfortunately, what happened? The universe of science does not stop there. Universe of science goes a step further. And how it goes further, how it is used, for what purposes it is used, with what implications it is used, for what consequences it is used. And the consequences for it was used on that date of 1945, which Honorable Vice Chancellor mentioned, was to destroy civilization, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No fault of Albert Einstein. Poor fellow, he was never in favor of dropping off atomic bomb. But the great equation which he gave the great science which he gave was put to such a bad use. And therefore, it is very, very crucial that a scientist, when producing the science, must be also visionful of the consequences and implication. Though coefficient of error is everywhere. That's what you scientists read, right? Though I agree that all implications and all consequences a poor scientist or community of scientists may not be able to comprehend, right? But still they should apprehend. Unless they do it, there is going to be serious crisis. And that is where I strongly believe that in a science class, sociology, economics, and culture, and values and ethics need to be integrated. If that does not happen, then there is going to be a problem. Think what Watson and Crick, I think DNA, am I right? Crick and Watson, they came out with this, what you call DNA, right? And what happened? What happened? It was nothing but double helix of structures of certain molecules. That is DNA. And what happened? This has been now put for creating new kind of life by recombinant of two or more DNAs together. And that has raised some serious questions for life on the planet itself. That has created some huge moral debates all over the world. I have particularly picked up these illustrations from the most path-breaking areas which you people are reading these days, or with which the world is so fascinated. Now, I doubt whether Crick and Watson, when they gave this whole idea of DNA and when they gave science of DNA, they could ever contemplate or they could ever think that this will be used, for creating an artificial life or for creating what you call genome technology or whatever. And I'm not doubting its utility or I'm not suggesting its futility. But what I'm saying is that unless you read these nuances, I think science will have its own isolated existence, where somewhere it will be able to contribute, but somewhere it will become a catalyst for spreading more unrest, more poverty. See, I was just talking to a young lady in the morning. She is studying law here in Mumbai University. My civility demands that I don't disclose the identity, though I'm very tempted to disclose the identity also. But again, there could be, I don't want to hurt people's sensitivities. Now, this young lady, I had just half a minute interaction with her. Just half a minute interaction. And she is studying law. She didn't even know what theme I'm going to speak. She only knew that yes, in Bombay University I'm going to say something. And she gave me a great idea. Because I'm student of law, she's also a student of law. And whenever I meet these young law students, I feel very inspired, and I start chirping and talking too much. So I started talking to her that, look, why don't you read competition law? Why don't you read sports law? Why don't you read relationship of art, culture, and law? Because I thought now sport has become the key core for a lawyer to deal with, to fight, okay? Because whether it is IPL or whether it is BCCI, whether they are private player, whether they are state player, all kind of issues, right? And I said similarly art, culture, because what happens is culture itself has got now number of legal nuances. So I thought, I'm saying something very big. She jolted me from the sky. He said, uncle, all right, this is fine. But sir, nobody talks of medicine in law. Yes, DNA was what? Has it complete connection with medical jurisprudence or not? Not only this, I put my hand here and I realized what has happened in last 10 days in this country. Some Novartis. And what is this Novartis? Some Glick, right? Some scientist. He did innovation. Albert Einstein did innovation, gave the research, resulted into Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Now here is a scientist who does an invention, gives you Glick, right? Here is Novartis. And what they do? They convert it into a pharmaceutical device, formula, and they start selling whatever they were selling. There is some Cipla. You getting? Now, 1/8 price of that or 1/12 price of that. And now what happens? Novartis said, I have got the patent. Supreme Court said, you don't have a patent. I don't want to enter into that chemistry right now because I'm talking to scientists. I'm not talking to lawyer fraternity. When I say you are connected to law, I'm not saying you read all nuances of law. And similarly, when to a lawyer I will say you read science, I will not say that you read what is MC square, what is E. No, but basic parameters need to be understood. And now see what happens here. Supreme Court says, no, you don't have patent. People thought that Supreme Court has disagreed with Novartis. Yes, they have disagreed. Even I say they have disagreed. Because what was the claim of Novartis? I have a patent right. And if I have a patent right, I have got proprietary right. And therefore, whatever use I am putting Glick to, that is my property. I need to earn upon it. I am entitled for those earnings. And nobody else can plagiarize it. Nobody else can imitate it. Otherwise, what happens? My proprietary rights, this is my property. How can somebody else can come and trespass? They cannot trespass. Supreme Court said, no, this is not your property. This far, okay. They said, no, you have got no patent right because you have not invented anything. Somebody else invented something, right? You have simply what done? You have put some glosses on it. Not glasses, glosses on it. Some small refinement here and there. Therefore, no innovation on your part. That means, please appreciate. I wish that young lady was here. And I would have told her, if you're doing of medicine and law, please take to a higher level. Don't stop at the lower level. What did the entire country, entire legal fraternity, you read any editorial, be it Hindu, be it Times of India, be it Economic Times, be it Standard, or be it any journal, and everybody is, hailing the Supreme Court of India. Even I hail Supreme Court of India. I have no problem. There is a Supreme Court judge only from this town, this side, who wrote this judgment. I hail this judgment, but I have a problem. I don't want to put a full stop there. And that's what I say, scientists need to go further. Keep on thinking what all has happened. What did Supreme Court say? That it is not your innovation. Therefore, you don't have property. Therefore, you don't have patent. Had it been your innovation, that was your property. Am I right? That means then you had the patent. Then Cipla could not do anything. That means what? Supreme Court has disagreed with what? That's my question. I wanted to ask this question to that young lady. I have hailed, and what I have said, yes, poor patient, where is 8,000 rupees per month? And where is 1,20,000? Therefore, denying them patent right. And it's very good. Patients are saved. Yes, that is fine. That is okay. But don't you think in another way? Now here comes the punchline. Professor Valuka, don't you think in another way, Supreme Court has dittoed another principle? And what is the principle? Had it been your innovation, that means that was your property, that means you were the property owner, that means entire profit was yours, and you could have pocketed whole profit. My only disagreement is, it is not your innovation. That's what Supreme Court said. And now what is my reading? And mind, this reading came to me only because that young lady jolted me in the morning. That means Supreme Court has considered a point that your innovation is your property and you are the owner and you have every right. Now tell me, one day you will get degree, you will get some doctorate degree, some MPhil degree, some MA degree. There will be convocation. I have addressed more than 50 convocations, and I see, whatever you speak, who is interested in it, because that is the day for celebration, that is the day for joys. And even parents, they don't want you to give a long speech, right? Because what they want, no, I like to hug my child. What a great honor he has earned. What great fruits he has earned. And therefore, what is this nonsense? And even children, I'll go and watch the movie. Have you seen? They throw their caps. Have you seen after the convocation what happened? They throw their caps. Now please mark, it is a mood of joy. It is a mood of enjoyment. It is a mood of entertainment. It is a mood of freelancing. Now who wants to listen to nonsense, what you are going to speak as a convocation addresser? But I, in every convocation, have raised one simple issue. And I realize the issue which I raised, how important it becomes when I read in between the lines of judgments of Supreme Court in Novaritas and before the scientists. Innovation is your property. And what do you say? When you earn your degree, my hard work has brought the fruit. Don't you think? You don't know, young man. You were all the time enjoying movies. 18 hours a day. I was slogging in the laboratory. That's why I got my PhD. I have worked so hard, 16 hours a day. I did this to work. I prepared notes. I attended the lecture, went to libraries. What is the language you are using? I. And what are you saying? I have earned it. It is my property. It is my title. It is my ornament. Did you ever think that what you did, it is your mother, it is your sister, or it is your father who in chill cold at 4 o'clock in the morning, when you didn't want to leave your quilt, when you did not want to leave your blanket, right? It is they who got up, prepared a hot cup of coffee, and gave it to you. Do you think the cold was less chilling for them? Or it was more chilling? Because you were still young and they were not young. Don't you think your neighbor was conscious that he is a young man writing his board exam or writing his graduation exam? I should keep the volume of my TV little low, otherwise he is disturbed. I should not organize a dance party, though I am very tempted to have that dance party. I have never danced in my life. Okay? So when I am saying I, it's not I in literal sense. Okay? Now please understand, don't you think your parents have sacrificed? Don't you think your neighbors have sacrificed? Don't you think your teachers? I had a tough fight with my husband in the morning. The fellow doesn't want to help me in doing my day-to-day research responsibilities because he doesn't want to share homely responsibilities. and still I come to the class with a smiling face and completely leave behind whatever unpleasant has happened at home. Have I not sacrificed my ego? Have I not contained my anger? Please understand. And therefore, what happens? Your teachers have sacrificed. Your parents have sacrificed. Your neighbors have sacrificed. And tell me, what is the fee you are paying? These all great IITs and IIMs people, even if they increase their fee by 10 times, 4 times, 5 times, do you think they can afford the kind of education and kind of infrastructure and kind of instrumentalities they are provided with? No. Very heavily subsidized. And very heavily subsidized by whom? By you and I. And forget you and I, the hawker on the street. And please understand, therefore what happened? Even the daily wager on who is working. Therefore his daily wage had to be fixed less because subsidy has to go to IIT or IIM or to Mumbai or to JNU or to Delhi or Central University of Haryana. And when I earned that degree, have I ever thought that my parents, my neighbors, my teachers, and every single member of the society has contributed to my earning of that degree? What I am claiming is my property is not my property. Rather, I am holding in trust for them all. And not only this. Not only this. Not only my neighbors and friends have contributed, even my adversaries have contributed. Think for a second.